pancaked right down to the end.
Yes, yes.
A terrible thing,
Yes.
terrible thing.
Do you think they should rebuild it?
Well, I think a World Trade Center should be rebuilt. However, new thinking will have to go into the design of a skyscraper because we have the terrorist mentality out there. Sprinklers with water will just not do the trick. And if they hit something high once before, they may try it again. Yes, they should rebuild that area and have some sort of memorial, I think, in the area there. How they rebuilt it, a lot of thinking will have to go into this as to what should be done. So I really can't answer that question, but I think something should be done.
What could you say to the young boys and girls or young people out there right now that might be looking at our story or your story about going into engineering? Because we're finding there's a lack of interest among our youngsters in going into engineering. It's such an important field.
Well, it's an opportunity for them, and it's out there for them. Things have opened up. We used to try, when I was with the Tuskegee, when I was as a Tuskegee Airman, and I'm still a Tuskegee Airman, we have lecture periods, and we lecture to kids, and we try to tell them to look into aviation, because then it was completely segregated, but now it's not. We tell them that even if you don't want to go into aviation, at least pick something. It's out there for you. The opportunities are there today. They weren't there for us then, but they're there for you today. You have the world in front of you. Go for it, whether it's engineering or whatever.
I imagine if they had the airspace program going when you were at that age of going, you would have been an astronaut today, probably. I bet you had been to the moon instead of building the Trade Center.
I don't think so.
No.
I had a lot of close calls and training, because I never got overseas with my fellow brothers. In fact, we lost 66 of them over there on the battle. I was, thank good,
66 airmen.
66 airmen, and 30-some were in concentration camps for quite some time, so we lost quite a few. My group was scheduled to go over to Tokyo, Tokyo, but they dropped the bomb, and I guess that's what saved me.
I understand that the Tuskegee Airmen, when they were flying with the bombers and things like that, they had quite a good record of keeping those bombers safe from the other airplanes coming in to knock them down.
Well, that's an interesting thing. That's why they sent me back for bombardier navigation training, because we were going to form our own bomber group, since the white bombers, didn't want to fly with us. And they never did send us overseas, because during that time, the 99th Fighter Group and the 332nd Fighter Squadron, they sort of got together, and they were doing such a great job over there, and just by accident, they flew missions for some of the white pilots in the bomber groups, and they never lost a bomber. It came to the point where all the bombers, the bomber groups, want the Tuskegee Airmen to fly cover for them, because in all the missions they had, they never lost a bomber to enemy attack. They lost bombers around them from flak.
Yeah,
They
right.
couldn't help that.
Sure.
And they stayed, and they would have shot down a lot more enemy planes, but they were instructed, they were well disciplined, the Tuskegee Airmen. They were instructed to stay with the bomber. Don't chase that guy out there and try to shoot him down. Stay with the bomber. And if they come in to get the bomber again, you get that guy.
Yeah.
So that's why they never lost a bomber to enemy attack.
Right.
Very good.
Right.
And as I said, they were my inspiration to go on later
Oh, that's
in life.
Yes.
Yes.
But, you know, I think sometime the Army career, just like myself, I was in the Army before I went to medical school and things like that also. And, you know, sometimes I think that kind of discipline prepares you to be more disciplined when you go into your studies, because the Army or the Air Force or all those things are such discipline, you know. And I think young people miss out today not going into one of the services.
I think you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, because it is discipline.
Yes. And I remember, and I didn't go any higher than a corporal, but I was over in during the Korean conflict, you know, and I was in a thing called a graves registration, where we identified the dead I became a dove from seeing so many dead soldiers, seeing how you could lose your life so quickly in the service. I mean, fighting and things like this.
That was a rough place.
It was, oh yes. And so, but it's just been a pleasure, Mr. Burton, just sitting here having conversation with you today, coming from the same kind of background, Michigan University, Macon Street in Brooklyn.
And that's University in Michigan at Ann Arbor, not Michigan University,
right,
as you know.
That's right. That's right. And you having had such a wonderful married life, 51 years with Dr. Curlin, and both of you are now still alive and well and have been to so many places in the world. And so we owe this to our audience and to our young people to know that folks like you are still around, kicking and walking dry, and with the mind that you have is just magnificent, because you could go all the way, I'm telling you, you have a microcosm mind. You went all the way back, and you could, I guess, go further than that. But I want to tell you, thank you for being with us. And to all of you out there, you witnessed a wonderful man today, a living legend, a person that is not history, black history, it's black presence. And I want you to take advantage of telling the folks about what you saw today and what you heard today, and how a man right out of Manhattan did what he had to do and became one of the planners for the World Trade Center. I want to thank you for being with us, and see you next time.